We have to go meet the internet man. Kirk got us internet.
It's finally happening.
We're getting a pole of internet.
And turn it off, so I'm gonna try and test that right now.
So I need to ask about that, because that's an issue.
And little by little, Kirk is chipping away at this new battery. We're gonna get there sooner or later.
Good morning. Today is supposed to be my day off, but Kirk has me up at what feels like the crack of dawn because we have to go meet the internet man. Kirk got us internet. Kirk just asked me when the big red exclamation mark light came on in the car. I wasn't sure. That's why we picked each other. He always needs something to fix and I always mess things up. Is it better?
Yeah, I think it's the battery in that tire pressure monitor sensor.
Charging 6 amps. 7 amps. We're drawing 2 amps.
So now I could go turn on the lights
Yep.
and use the toilet.
Yep.
We've been here for about 4 hours and I've slept the whole time. It's just a day for me, but the internet guy finally came and Kirk is outside with him. I guess they have to set up a pole because it's an RV, so maybe I can get Kirk to explain that when he comes back inside, but we're getting a pole of internet. Look, this is my spy cam. Spy cam live. That's the internet coming in. That's our pole of internet. You're gonna look so good on us, internet.
Alright, so this is the setup. I got the router set up, satellite internet, and I got the network connected to the solar trailer down there. So I'm monitoring all of that inside that box on this computer through Wi-Fi on that router.
And then there was internet.
We just got back from the land from getting internet, and sorry for the lack of internet installation content, but little did I know my body was efficiently working on building me a migraine. So I was passed out with a migraine. Kirk was in the middle of working on meetings and calls using his hotspot, and by the time it was time to leave, I was like dizzily walking to the car. So I'll have Kirk fill us in on what happened because he was the only one that was kind of there.
So what I did today was I wired in this shunt trip so to control the main power coming in from the batteries to basically all of the downline systems. I wired these in, so they wire over here, and the negative side of the shunt goes into here. This is basically a fuse block, so I got 24 volts coming in, and it buses 24 volts to all of these, and then I can get plus and minus 24 volts. It's fuse protected, so basically directly off here, you can read on the side here, it says C2 is negative, so that went directly to negative. And then the positive side, I got 24 volts that feeds into this guy, which will eventually plug into there, and then out of there it comes over here and into the positive side, which is C1 over here. So in a nutshell, when I plug that thing into there, this guy will monitor all of this stuff, all of the temp sensors, all of the battery voltages, how much current is flowing, if there's overcurrent going in and out of the battery. So this guy monitors all that, and if there's a critical failure, high voltage, low voltage, too much current, or temperature, then it will close this relay, which will provide 24 volts to this guy and turn it off. So I'm gonna try and test that right now. All right, so everything is within range here. So I'm gonna pull the ambient temperature sensor and trip it and see what happens. Low ambient, wait 5 seconds, trigger. And it's showing that we were in amber mode, so it appears to work. And that's essentially what I triggered, negative 29. The only problem I'm having is that when I turn it back on, I think that relay toggles shut, and then it trips this. So I'm not sure about that. I need to troubleshoot it a little, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this relay here toggles when power gets turned on, because if I have this plugged in and I have power on this guy, then it's in a steady state basically, and I can turn this guy on and off with no problem. Turn it on, turn it off. But if I unplug this guy so as to take him out of the steady state, so now I've turned off this power coming in, and now I'm going to turn off power to this. Now, as I turn this on, this thing charges up and provides power to that, and I think as this thing's turning on, that relay is momentarily triggering, because this is the behavior I see now. Instantaneous pop off. So I'm pretty sure that that's what's happening, because again, if I just power this thing up through there, comes on into a steady state, and now if I turn this guy on, no problem. So I need to ask about that, because that's an issue. The last thing I need to do is take these, and I need to install a relay there, basically so that when this guy turns off, it opens up the circuit for here. Because what's happening right now is when this guy turns off, he turns off everything to the battery, so nothing goes back to the battery, basically. So the charge controller coming from here doesn't go back to the battery, nothing goes in and out of here, so it's completely isolated. The problem is that turns off the charge controller, but this guy is still providing whatever it is, 10 amps and 100 volts or whatever. So in a nutshell, I'm turning off the charge controller, but I'm still feeding in power here, which can burn this guy up. You're supposed to turn on the charge controller first and then turn on the solar panels. So this would have the opposite effect, where I would turn off the charge controller automatically, but this thing would still be pumping in power into the charge controller, and that's a problem. So basically, these wires, these two wires here, I need to route them into a relay, and so when this thing trips off, that breaker also trips off. So that's the last component, I guess. All right, so now I just turned on the generator. Got a cable plugged in, coming into here, coming in and back feeding into here. So instead of drawing from the battery, I'm now putting in 31 amps to the bus bar. And when I add 18 amps from the solar panels, I get almost 50 amps going into the battery. So 30 amps from the inverter, or I guess the generator, and then 20 amps from here. So I'm charging off of both sources right now. Alright, so with 50 amps, you start to see a little more spread on the batteries. The lowest is 3.32 and 3.39, so basically now it's going to do more work trying to balance with this guy, so this guy should start to heat up. So I crank the dial all the way up right here, and we're pushing in about almost 70 amps. So then I reach and touch everything to make sure nothing's heating up. I'm watching it, make sure there's no arcing or sparking or anything like that. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, this has auxiliary switches that basically go in tandem with this. So I'm going to wire one of these, like this switch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire it into 24 volts through this 3 amp fuse, and then I'm going to wire it to this solid state relay. You can see the control voltage is from 3 to 32 volts. So basically we'll put positive here, negative here, and this will be switched in the center. So when this is on, this will be on, which will allow current to flow through here. And when this switch is off, then this voltage will go away and this will open up, and that will stop the solar current from coming in. So that's going to be the solution. Alright, so what I'm testing is continuity between two wires. And then when I turn this off, I want to make sure I get open circuit, so no more beep. And I'm touching them together, and there's no more beep. So that's good. When I turn it on, there should be a beep. Yep. So that's what I want. I want it closed when this is on. So I have continuity on, ring outs, and basically what I want is this thing in the off position and no ring. And then when I switch this on, I see. So that's the same problem where the USB's got to be powered on. Anyhow, so let's turn it on. And then from here, I want to ensure that this thing rings out. Well, it's on. You can see the little red light. But we can test and verify. It's still getting high impedance, so we'll have to see. Whenever I add the shunt on, it goes into a critical mode. Okay, so I'm back up here again after work. Sun's setting, and basically what I did was I replaced this shunt mon because it wasn't working, and replaced a new one basically right there. That thing. And what it does is it is the thing that's responsible for telling me what the total battery voltage is here and how much current is being taken from it, and obviously watts. And then that gives me my state of charge right here. So it monitors the total charge input and output of the battery. And then each one of these is the individual cells themselves. So it's a critical piece. And that one was bad basically from stock, but they were pretty good at Batrium to give me a replacement, so it worked. The other thing I did was I actually bought an expansion board, which is this one right here, and it has 3 solid state relays and 3 mechanical relays, and they allow me to basically drive different things. So I can drive these fans right here, so the ventilation fans in and out of the box as a function of ambient temperature. The fan on the actual cell mon when it's sinking current and trying to balance the batteries, I can turn that on as a function of heat. And then just numerous other things, basically anything else I want to control with the logic of the system, that basically gives me the ability to do that. I didn't plug it in or set it up, I just put it on the DIN rail. But I will basically do what I just said. I am planning to set up the ventilation based on ambient air temperature in the box and set up that heatsink fan and drive them. So basically if I don't need them, I'll turn them off and save energy, and if I need them because of heating or cooling or whatever, I'll turn them on.
Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And join us on Patreon. Okay, so the last thing basically I need to do is the last thing I need to do is, let me try it again. The last thing I need to do And basically what I want is this thing in the off position and this to be open.
It's Kirk's birthday today!
It's my birthday today.
So naturally he wanted to come to the land and clean. And the birthday boy gets what he wants.
One day there's going to be a house there, and he's not going to be able to four-wheel through the middle of the property. Until then, we're going to enjoy the adventure.